Hi, welcome to the Gentle Art Podcast with Gene Dunn. Today we have the privilege of sitting with Chris Torres, black belt and all-around great guy. Chris, I as we were coming up, I said, I want to kind of go through your journey in Jiu Jitsu and training or in martial arts. And by the way, if you're hearing some noise back there, we brought Shadow.
There he is. He's in the
into
building.
The studio. Yeah, for the first time since he was adopted, and so he's getting used to it. I'm sorry for the background noise for everybody. So
okay. He's a good boy. It's all right.
He's a good boy. Chris, I love you, pal. Thank you. So, was jiu-jitsu your first martial art, Chris?
Yeah, actually it was. It was actually the only martial art I ever done. It's the first time I even was interested in anything. I was in my 20s already. I was like 23 when I started. And it was just because I was like, I really enjoyed wrestling. So I was always
like backyard wrestling, right?
Backyard professional wrestling, jumping off of monkey bars and stuff, fake blood, all that stuff. And then regular wrestling, like grappling, because, growing up, I would, had an older brother, cousins, everybody was fighting around and everything like that. So it was just kind of something that I was like already drawn to.
Yep.
And at a certain point, I was just like, I kind of want to just really learn how to actually do it. Like, I want to not just pretend like I know what I'm doing. Let me actually go see if I could learn it. And so that's when I came in.
You were actively seeking out jiu-jitsu, or did a friend tell you about it?
No, I was just one day I said to my brother, because it was in December, so it was around Christmas time. And he asked me, he's like, what do you want for Christmas? And I was like, go find a place where I could learn jiu-jitsu and get me a class. And
Very nice.
and he goes, all right. And then that was it.
Did we meet your brother? Did he?
I don't think you ever met
older
him.
brother?
Yeah, he's older. He's older. Skyer met him. So when he went in, he was talking to Josh.
Wow.
And Josh said, he's like, I've never had this happen to me before. Somebody walks in and I say, oh, you want to do jiu-jitsu yourself, or is this for somebody else? And he said, for somebody else. And he's like, no one's ever said that when they came in.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, very cool. So, this is like your first martial art, and kind of what was the draw once you got to training? Like
once I started the training, there was a few things. One was, I guess, more of like, because I wasn't trying to learn it so I could go do a competition and become some
UFC
champion. UFC, something like that, some MMA guy or anything. That's not what I was interested in. But when we started doing it and I saw this more of a self-defense aspect of it, then I was like, oh, this is really what it's for. It's not for entertainment on TV. I'm like, oh, it's for self-defense. It's like I have to defend myself. If someone comes to me and they're twice my size, which is usually the case, I'm like, I should know how to protect myself. And this is exactly what it's for. And then from that, it was also the philosophy of it and the old school, regimented bowing, the respect thing and everything like that. So
that appealed to you?
That really appealed to me too.
And why?
It's just, it's kind of just the way, it's not like your normal, you walk into the gym, you throw your towel down there, you say, oh, what's up, bro, to the other guy and stuff. It was respectful, and there was kind of the student teacher aspect of it. And that's that. I was really drawn to that too. It's it was right up my alley, basically.
For me, the kind of class protocols and the student-teacher relationship now is so appealing to me, because it is a line into the historic kind of path of the martial arts. And so I feel a part of something that's much greater than me, not just a sport, but something that was passed down from generation to generation in a way that was functional, that was in a way meant to keep it pretty pristine, pretty close to the way it was.
That's exactly what it was. Just like that. You could feel Like that there was more to it than just, arm bars and,
Right.
grappling and stuff like that. Like
Right.
there was more to it. There's more behind it than just fighting,
You
you
know,
know?
Chris, there's so many fascinating things about you. Like, I you. I'm struggling on how to approach this, but you're not 6'2", 250 pounds, right?
Correct. Yes.
You're,
I'm 5'5", 150.
150,
150.
right?
I'll
Right.
even go 149 because I weighed
149.
myself the other day and I had all my shoes on and everything. So
But like you're in a room. The classes you come to typically
yeah.
are the afternoon classes, and that's filled with guys that are 5'10", 200
Yeah,
pounds
absolutely.
minimum,
Yeah.
right? And
Mhm.
you're, the lightest guy in the room, but I'm going to say it, one of the very best guys in the room.
Yeah.
And so what, how did you do that? Like, how did you not let it, like this, the size of the people, the kind of challenges you face every time you're in the room or in the dojo overcome you? Like, how do you maintain because you're at it now nearly 15 years?
15 years.
15 years.
Yeah.
So how do you, take me through that? Like, how do you stay so focused and so driven 15 years later?
Right. Well, with the size aspect thing, it's kind of, when you're small your whole life. It's not like you start off big and then
Right.
have to adjust to it, right?
Right.
So growing up, I was always athletic and, strong or whatever, and everybody was typically bigger than me anyway whenever I played sports. So it never really bothered me because I was still like fast and able to perform and everything like that.
Yeah.
So like the size thing never even occurred to me really. Like I never gave it like a second thought, like,
Huh.
oh, this guy's so much bigger than me. What am I gonna do? It was like, no, I'm gonna like I played a lot of football, so it was like, no, I'm just gonna catch it and run because that's what I could do, and
Yeah.
it was fine. And nobody could catch me and things like that. And then, so to your second point was, how do you keep consistent for 15 years?
Yeah, well, when it's there's so many. This is like a lot to unpack, and
Right.
I'll get to the next question. But yeah, like how is it that you stayed consistent with this idea? How did it never kind of go like, oh man, like
I'm gonna tell you right now, and it's gonna sound, maybe it sounds corny or something, but it's just like, if it's like you love it. Like I love coming to class, right? I love the training. I love the people there. I want to be there. It's annoying.
doesn't sound corny.
It's
But
annoying when I have to change my work schedule and then I can't make the afternoon classes. I'm like, oh, this is ridiculous. I'm like, come on, man. I'm like, I gotta go to work. Like, like I'd rather be training. Like I know, because like I'll be at work and it's 12 o'clock. I'm like, oh, they're starting right now.
I'm thinking when you're not there, oh, I wish Chris was here.
Yeah,
I feel the same.
Yeah. So to be consistent, you have to love it. You have to respect it.
Mm-hmm.
You have to want to be there, So it's like I have all those things about it. So it's easy just to show up for class,
Nice.
It's nice. And even if because that one time, well, it was twice when I didn't have a catastrophic injury, but I had a little bit of an injury,
Right.
and it was scary.
Yeah.
But even that didn't deter me. I wasn't like, oh, well, that's it now. I got a little bit hurt. I'm not going to go.
Right.
But that never even entered my mind.
You just couldn't wait to get back.
I just couldn't wait to get back,
All of the injuries I ever had are the same. And I've had some catastrophic injuries.
Right.
But I just couldn't wait to get back.
Yeah.
I think that's uniquely martial arts.
Yeah.
I mean, I do know guys that play basketball and got injured and go back, but they don't go back the same.
Right.
I think martial arts, you initially are tending to the injury or working around it, but you do strive to get back to not the same, but we're higher.
Right.
You want to get on that track of progress.
Right. Right.
Chrissy, one of the other things I find so interesting is that I've noted that there seems to be a trend in schools. if the head instructor is a big guy,
Mm-hmm.
all of the students are big people.
Right.
If the head instructor is a smaller guy and like with that style, then the students tend to be smaller.
Right.
I don't know what it is. I try myself not to like look at teaching from the big guy perspective.
Right.
I always try to teach things that I believe work across the board.
Yeah.
And to try to be inclusionary of that, or at least cognizant of it to some point.
Mm-hmm.
And like, I'm 6'2", 250 pounds, right? Like, and so did you ever have to navigate that? Did you ever go like, wait, he doesn't know how I feel, or like?
Not really. But there are some times when, like, let's say we're doing a technique or something, and I'm like, okay, this is like, it works, but I mean, this is going to be very difficult to get on some other of these people, So it's like when something like that occurs, I have to figure out myself how I could adjust to make this technique work.
That's
so
genius,
it's not
buddy.
just like, oh, this doesn't work for me. This isn't for me. It's for a big guy. I'm not going to even try this. It's
Right.
like, it's not true, because all the techniques are for everybody, right?
That's right.
And you can adjust. It's not like, oh, this is the way it's taught and this is the only way to do it. It's
Right.
like, that's not true.
Right.
It's like there's adjustments you can make to get it. And also with being smaller, you have to be a little bit more technical. You have to be more technically sound. So maybe a big guy could get away with maybe not having everything in the right position or spot, and they
Yeah.
could still get a sweep,
Yeah.
maybe.
Yeah.
But when you're smaller, everything has to be in line
Yeah.
of where it has to. Like, you have to be, your foot's here, your arm's here, their arm's here, and then they could go.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's not going to work.
Yeah. Yeah. I've said this in class that I heard Hoyler Gracie say, submissions are a convergence of techniques. And if something is slightly out of place on one of the conversions, you cannot attempt a submission.
Yeah.
And I hear the same thing there. And I think
Yeah.
it's brilliant. Like, that's one of the things I love about Jiu Jitsu is that the technique as shown a lot of times is a blueprint. It's not a fixed idea. It's up to us, the practitioner, to make it work for us.
Correct. Yeah.
Mr. Vizio used to say that to me all the time. Like, my stuff works. You got to make it work.
You got to make it work. It's not written in stone the way you're supposed to do these things, Like, they're fluid. Like, you could switch it up. Like, you don't have to, it's not, this is the numbers, by the numbers, this is how it goes. It's sometimes you have to make adjustments.
In that, I've experienced myself, like, and also from the larger person's perspective, like, in my pursuit of black belt at the Renzo Gracie Academy, a lot of times guys would say to me, you roll like a little guy, a light guy. And I always kind of found that, like, to be a backhanded compliment.
Right.
Like, oh, what am I not supposed to search for the technique? What am I not supposed to move?
Yeah, what are you supposed to smash you? And that's it? Yeah.
Right. And so the converse of that is like, I've tried to do my best to search for the right technique, the right placement of the knee, the right placement of the foot. Sometimes I've failed, especially when I feel a lot of pressure. I will default. I try not to as much as I used to as a younger man. But I do think that is such an important point about the practice, like searching for the ways in which it works for you.
Right.
Right. It's genius.
Yeah.
It's really strong. Chris, so you got your black belt in what year?
2016.
2016.
Yeah.
And like, tell me a little bit about that. Like, were you aspiring to be a black belt when you got into the practice and you found out that, like, there was self-defense and then there was this, like, protocol, this respect and courtesy? Did black belt kind of go like, oh, that's what I'm aiming for?
Well, once I got in there and I saw like the self defense, the protocol, and I was there, I was like, oh, I'm not leaving. So I knew black belt would just be something that would be inevitable.
Uh-huh.
Like it's gonna come. So it wasn't like, oh man, it wasn't like I need to get a black belt. I have to. I'm like, I'm just gonna keep training for as long as I can. And when it comes, it comes. And I knew it was going to come. Like, I'm not saying like, oh, I'm so good that I knew I was
Right,
gonna
right,
get it,
right.
but
It
I knew
just
I was gonna be there
inevitably.
long enough
Uh-huh.
where I was going to get it. And of course, if you're training, you want the top thing, the top
Yeah.
accolade or whatever I guess
Yeah.
you want to call it. But like black belt was definitely a goal, right? And the other goal is training for as long as I can.
Right.
That's the other thing.
Once you got black belt, did it take on a meaning for you? Like what do you think about as a black belt, or do you just keep that same
I
mindset?
just keep that same mindset.
Uh-huh.
I didn't let it get to me. Even when I was before black belt, anytime you got a promotion or anything, I was always I was always never like, "Oh, that's it. Now I have a purple belt. Oh, I'm better than this kind of
Uh-huh.
person.
Uh-huh.
Oh,
Uh-huh.
now I'm a brown belt. Like it was never like that. It was always to me, it was always size, age, even the belt. Like those things like those things didn't matter to me, those things I would put them aside because all that stuff doesn't matter. I would look at somebody, no height, weight, belt, everybody's the same
Yeah.
and everybody trains the same. So
Yeah.
that's how I looked at it. I looked at it as we're all the same and we're here to train and it doesn't matter what belt is on. That's what I thought.
I think more specifically, I think I'm asking, like, do you feel like you have a different responsibility
Oh,
as a black belt?
yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
What does that mean to you?
That means that you can't just like if there's a junior student and
Yeah.
they're struggling or they're not really getting what we're doing, it's you have to correct them. You have to show them. Like, and it doesn't mean like, you give them the stick. You gotta,
Yeah, that's what I do.
I know,
That's what I'm for.
I can, yeah, I'm not like that. I'm not giving them the stick.
Uh-huh.
You gotta like guide them.
Yeah.
Like now
Yeah.
you're a black belt. Your
Yeah.
responsibility
Yeah.
is to guide people to where you are.
Wonderful.
Because you want them where you are. You just don't want to send them away.
Yeah.
Like you want people at your level. You want everybody there. Because then, if no one's there, then who you training with?
That's right.
You
That's
know?
right. That I think also that's uniquely
Yeah.
martial art.
Yeah.
Like law of the farm rather than law of the jungle. Like,
Okay.
you're helping to maintain the farm.
Right.
Like each participant, the cow, gives
Yeah.
milk and all that. Chris, like over the years, there's been so many transitions at the school.
Right.
And the other day, I think I was opening up the school and you were there. And I said, Chris, I've been thinking about this so much. I've been thinking about you. Like, you're one of the only people that didn't get at odds with the changes.
Right.
Like you just kept straight,
Right.
and you didn't get at odds with me, and you didn't get at, and I said to you, like, it was brilliant. And I'm so grateful
Right.
to you for that. And so, like, how did I haven't even been able to do that. Like, only now, like, do I look at my relationships with my teachers, my relationship with my classmates as like, I got to keep going straight. Like, I can't put myself in an adversarial position in
Right.
any way whatsoever if I want to keep the practice up.
Yeah.
I didn't know that as a younger man.
Yeah.
Like, how did you do that?
I think it's like to me, it was always like the school came first to me. It was always I cared about the school, right? And then after that was the training. Like these are the things that are important to me. Like I wasn't really concerning myself with any outside noise or anything like that. When you're training and you're on the mat, that's really all I was thinking about. Like I didn't want to get involved with anything other than that. You know what I'm saying? I didn't like to stay at the school and not be at odds with anybody. Like,
Yeah.
that's not what I was looking for. Like, I'm not looking
But
for
like
the gossip.
yeah, like
That's
how did
I
you
don't
know to
I
stay out of that? Like how did you not like
I mean,
I'm not trying to like
I'm trying to I mean, I guess growing up, the men in my family,
yeah.
they weren't like they weren't like weasels. They weren't like schemers, and they weren't like talking about, oh, this guy behind his back, and oh, this like that wasn't the sort of thing. Like, the men were men, like nobody was perfect, right? Not everybody's
Right.
perfect, but
Right.
the men were still men. So I
So
never.
they didn't talk shit?
No,
Is
it
that what you're
wasn't like
saying?
that. Yeah, it wasn't like yeah, exactly. Like it wasn't like like how you meet those guys that are kind of like snakes.
Yeah.
It's like there wasn't any of that really going on, like, growing up. Like, I didn't see that. So, like,
So you
I
learn
didn't inherit that,
right.
from my father or my uncles or anything like
Right.
that. Everybody's pretty much a straightforward person. So I'm like, oh, that's the way you're supposed to be, And that's kind of how I just been my whole life.
Chris, I just want to take a moment and say thank you. Like, it's been such a gift to me. And I think your classmates, like, it's almost like you're a beacon of light in a way.
Right.
It's like that's north. That's the way to do it.
Yeah.
And, I really, not only do I appreciate it from our relationship,
Right.
but I appreciate, like, I am now aspiring to be that way.
Right.
I didn't have those male role models. So, I think I inadvertently put people in a space where other men, teachers, in a space where I shouldn't have. I just maybe expected too much from them or let myself be disappointed by them.
Okay.
And looking back, it was all my fault.
Right.
Like, it was just the way I was moving through the environment.
Right.
And that you just have this, what seems to me, genius about you. Not just in the training, because I believe you do have a genius about you in the training. Like, you come up to Thomas Clifford's to teach with me once a month.
Right.
And by the way, thank you so much for that. That's a big gift.
It's a pleasure and a privilege for me also.
Thank you. And, Tom trained with you a few times.
Yeah.
And, he pulled me aside and he said, Chris is extraordinary. And he asked, did you ever compete? And I said, not that I know of. I don't think so. I think he just comes and loves the training.
Yeah.
And he said to me, it's always the guys that could be the Abu Dhabi champions. I mean, like he was saying, you have that level of skill and talent. But you just keep it to yourself. And he's like, those guys are the real deal.
Thank you for listening to the Gentle Art Podcast. Please share, rate, and review. And if you have any questions or you'd like to reach out, please contact us at the GentleArtPodcast@gmail.com or contact us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter or thegentleartpodcast.com.